Quick disclaimer. Information in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended to be treated as medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare team before making changes to your diet, lifestyle, supplementation, or medication.
Did you know that what you eat can drastically lower your blood sugar and even your triglycerides in just weeks? That you can have prediabetes even at a healthy weight, and that your fasting blood sugar might be higher in the morning, and that's normal for most people with pre- and T2 diabetes. Today, we're breaking down your questions and providing simple, practical solutions that can make a real difference.
Welcome to Type 2 Diabetes Talk, the place where we chat about what really works to treat type 2 diabetes and prediabetes naturally with nutrition and lifestyle. If you're looking to optimize blood sugar and A1C, lose weight, reduce medications, and improve your overall health, this is the place to be. Now, here's your host, Type 2 Diabetes Nutrition Specialist, Dr. Jetta.
Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me for a Q&A episode answering your questions. I love these episodes because they are questions directly from you. And of course, we'll be having more Q&A episodes in future. So if you have a question, please don't hesitate to send it in to cover in a future Q&A episode. Head to type2diabetestalk.com/message to leave a voice message or email, and I look forward to covering your question. Of course, if you're one of our members, you can send in your questions for the podcast as well, but you also have other ways to get your questions answered regularly. You can use the monthly member check-ins to ask your questions and get personal feedback and support. Plus, when you receive the notifications about your quarterly health reviews, do send them in, as either me or our nutritionist personally review these to provide you with extra support throughout the year. We're very hands-on with this stuff because our primary goal is to make sure you're achieving the goals you want to achieve and to support you every step of the way. Before moving on to our questions of the day, I also want to thank those who have taken the time to leave a review for the podcast. I really do appreciate this. On our website, Kathleen left a 5-star rating and said, "Clear, honest truth about foods that hinder success of controlling health issues, with proven plans and scientific directions to control the habits formed over years of unhealthy choices." Thanks so much for leaving that, Kathleen. I really appreciate it. Jan left a 5-star rating and review and said, "Understandable and able to follow, first time listening and very impressed." Thanks so much, Jan. Glad to know you're enjoying the podcast. And Laurie also left a 5-star rating and said, "Dr. Jetta and her team provide a great program. I've been a VIP member for the past 18 months, and I've been able to learn about prediabetes as well as understand everything that impacts my health regarding diabetes. If you have been newly diagnosed or may have had it for years and you just don't understand the disease, sign up for the program and start reading their library or check out their different programs. The podcasts are also very good and just part of what you could be learning." Thanks so much for leaving that rating and review, Laurie. It's great to have you as one of our members and for pointing out that the podcast is just one very small part of what we provide to our members and what people could be learning by joining us as a member. I also want to thank Diak Rips on Apple and others who left a rating, along with those of you who have left a rating on Spotify. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to do so, as it does support the podcast. So if you're listening right now and this podcast has helped you understand your diabetes or make some changes and improvements, please head to type2diabetestalk.com/review to let me know by leaving your rating and review. Okay, so let's dig into today's Q&A with the first question of the day from Amanat. Amanat said, "I have type 2 diabetes since 2016. My fasting sugar is 250 and 2 hours after meals, my blood sugar is 370. My sugar is not coming low. Please help. Okay, before answering this question, I'll translate those numbers for our metric listeners. So 250 is a blood sugar level of 13.9, while 370 is 20.6. So Amanat, thank you for sharing your situation. And a post-meal blood sugar of 370 or 20.6 is dangerously high, and it's vital for you to bring those levels down as soon as possible. And the good news is that making targeted changes to your nutrition can have a big impact because nutrition is the most effective treatment strategy for type 2 diabetes and for improving both your fasting levels and your after meal levels as well. So the first thing to focus on is identifying and reducing foods that are causing your blood sugar to spike this high. And the first things to consider are whether you're eating a lot of sugar-filled foods or processed foods, or are you eating lots of high carbohydrate foods like bread, rice, potatoes, and sugary snacks, for example. And if the answer is yes, then these are likely the foods contributing to these levels. So you really need to start evaluating your eating plan to assess what you're eating, because those high levels are telling you that your current nutrition plan isn't right. It's not working for you. You want to be eating whole foods like non-starchy vegetables. Think broccoli, spinach, or zucchini, and pair these with healthy proteins like eggs, fish, or chicken, for example, and fats as well, like olive oil, avocado, nuts, and seeds. Lots of whole, fresh foods. And these swaps can help stabilize your blood sugar after meals. If you haven't already, listen to episode 6 on what to eat to treat diabetes. And also make sure you're drinking plenty of water to assist your body in regulating glucose more effectively. Now, your fasting levels are high, but don't concern yourself with that right now. Focus on tracking your blood sugar 2 hours after meals because you really need to get those levels down from that shockingly high 370. And you want to be aiming under 140 milligrams per deciliter or 7.8 millimoles per litre ideally. Although at the moment, with your levels up at 370, aim for 180 at first. Then once you achieve that, aim for a lower level. Because your fasting levels will regulate better once you get your post-meal levels under control. So again, you really need to start evaluating your eating plan to assess what you're eating that is causing these really high post-meal levels. And of course, if it could be something else, like medication or another illness, always consult with your medical doctor because there could be some steps you need to take outside your nutrition plan as well. But it's most likely the foods you're eating since you're saying it's your 2-hour post-meal levels. So like I said, really evaluate what you've been eating, your eating plan, and start working on making some changes there and you will see better results. Our next question is from Katie. Katie said, my triglycerides are 300, which my doctor was not happy about. So I can use all the information I can on foods I can eat to get this lower, please. Katie, thank you for your question. A triglyceride level of 300 is elevated, so it's a good idea that you're taking steps to address it. So let's talk about how nutrition can play a significant role in helping you lower those numbers. And first, it helps to understand a little bit about the science so you can understand why the triglycerides might be getting higher and, of course, how you can lower them. So triglycerides are fat molecules made up of 3 fatty acids attached to a sugar backbone called glycerol. This means excess sugar and refined carbohydrates in your diet can drive triglyceride production, pushing triglyceride levels higher. Foods and drinks like sweets and sodas and even too many high carbohydrate foods break down into glucose, which can be converted into triglycerides if your body doesn't use it for energy. And of course, high blood glucose levels can contribute to this as well, But the most significant contributors to high triglyceride levels in terms of foods are sugar, refined carbohydrates, and excess carbohydrate intake. Essentially, the more sugar and carbohydrates you eat, the more building blocks your body has to create and store triglycerides. So if that's the case, then it makes sense that to lower triglycerides, you need to do the exact opposite. And that is avoid or reduce foods and drinks like sweets and sodas, and avoid or reduce your intake of refined carbohydrates and high carbohydrate foods as well. We're talking about cutting out sugary foods like candy, cakes, and sodas, cutting down or cutting out refined carbohydrates that we commonly find in many processed foods like pastries, breakfast cereals, and crackers, and even cutting down on high carbohydrate foods like your pasta, your rice, and your noodles. And in most cases, when people do this, they see their triglycerides come down to normal levels quite fast, and that's based on that little bit of science that we shared earlier. Then there are a few targeted things we can do, such as increasing intake of omega-3 rich foods like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, which is especially beneficial since these fats can lower triglycerides and support heart health as well. Include more monounsaturated fat from olives, olive oil, avocados, and nuts and seeds, which can help lower triglycerides and help support overall health improvements in diabetes as well. For instance, listen to episode 14 on the benefits of olive oil. To lower your triglycerides, the first step is to focus on reducing those added sugars and refined carbs. Replace them with non-starchy vegetables, healthy proteins like fish, chicken, or eggs, and natural fats such as avocados or olive oil. And again, including those omega-3 rich foods like salmon, mackerel, and sardines is especially beneficial. Regular consumption of nuts can lead to a reduction in triglyceride levels, making them a beneficial addition to your eating or your snacking routine. Foods rich in anthocyanins, such as berries, have been shown to reduce triglyceride levels and improve other lipid profiles in type 2 diabetes as well. Really, there is a wide range of things you can do, and your nutrition plan is going to play a central role in reducing triglycerides. But hopefully you've picked up on a key theme here, and that is to avoid and reduce sugars, refined carbs, and assess how many carbohydrate foods you're eating overall. And focus on healthy whole foods, healthy sources of carbohydrates, and you will start to see positive changes. You can also find more tips on lowering cholesterol in episode 44. And for our members listening to this, head to the health maps inside the members site to find our Lowering Cholesterol Health Map, which provides you with a very detailed step-by-step plan to help you lower cholesterol levels and triglyceride levels too, if that's your issue. But thanks for your question, Katie, and overall the point is you can change those high triglyceride levels, so start working on a few things we mentioned and you will start to see those numbers coming down.
With Dr. Jetta's VIP online membership, you'll have proven, practical support to lower blood sugar, weight, and medication. Receive delicious weekly meal plans that keep you inspired each week, or browse thousands of easy, diabetes-friendly recipes and cooking classes. Explore the huge members library with hundreds of foods, supplements, blood sugar, and nutrition resources that answer your questions. All this and more. Join as a VIP member today. Visit type2diabetestalk.com/programs.
Okay, next up a question from Kathleen. Kathleen asked, I have prediabetes and I'm wondering if the type 2 diet is the same for prediabetes. Kathleen, that's a great question. And the short answer is yes. The principles of a type 2 diabetes diet or nutrition plan are very similar for prediabetes because both conditions involve issues with blood sugar and insulin regulation. The goal is to stabilize blood sugar, lower insulin levels, and improve insulin sensitivity, which can help prevent prediabetes from progressing to type 2 diabetes. A key focus is modifying your carbohydrate intake, especially reducing refined carbs and sugars, as these cause the biggest spikes in blood sugar, but also looking at how many carbs you might be eating and the types of carbohydrate foods as well, as all of these can have an impact on your blood sugar and insulin levels. What you want to do with prediabetes is prioritize lower carbohydrate, nutrient-dense foods like non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats from avocado or nuts, and quality proteins like fish, chicken, or eggs. And these choices help keep your blood sugar stable throughout the day. Another benefit of this approach is that it can support weight management and help improve other things like triglycerides that we just spoke about with Katie, along with cholesterol in general and blood pressure. And we are all individuals, of course, so while the specifics may vary depending on your individual needs, the foundational diet for prediabetes and type 2 diabetes is nearly identical. And with prediabetes, using the right nutrition principles can help you reverse prediabetes back to normal. So thanks for sending in your question, Kathleen. And next up, we have a question from Ben. Ben said, I have pre-diabetic numbers, but I'm a healthy weight. I thought only overweight people got diabetes. Ben, thank you for your question. It's a common misconception that only people who are overweight develop diabetes or pre-diabetes. And while weight is a very common risk factor, it's not the only one. Even people at a healthy weight can have insulin resistance or other metabolic issues that lead to elevated blood sugar levels. This can happen for several reasons. Genetics can play a big role, so if you have a family history of diabetes, you may be more predisposed to getting diabetes or prediabetes. Your diet, even if your weight is healthy, also matters a great deal. A diet high in refined carbs, sugars, and processed foods can strain your body's ability to regulate blood sugar over time. And additionally, factors like stress, poor sleep, and physical inactivity can contribute to insulin resistance, regardless of your weight. And this is even more so, these other factors can contribute to whether we get prediabetes and type 2 diabetes as we get older. So the good news is that being proactive with your blood sugar now can make a big difference. You may not need to lose weight, and that's fine, but that doesn't mean doing nothing. You still need to focus on a nutrient-rich eating plan and stay active to support stable blood sugar and to improve insulin sensitivity and your overall metabolism and how it functions. So by addressing the underlying causes, you can lower your blood sugar levels to normal and reduce your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So for you, this is a great opportunity to get proactive. And I'd also recommend to listen to episode 67, where we talked about misconceptions of obesity and diabetes. And also episode 50 on risk factors and episode 32 on reversing prediabetes through proactive nutrition, as I think you'll find those very helpful. So thanks again, Ben, for sending in that question. And before we go to our last question of the day, let's hear a testimonial from one of our members.
Jeff said, I am so grateful I took part in the program. For me, it was truly life-changing. Not only was I able to bring my blood sugar levels down from 6.6% to 5.6% whilst following your carb management plan, my readings have stayed down no matter what I eat. I also have the tools and knowledge about how to make sure I don't push the envelope too far. So thank you so much for your program.
Our last question of the day comes from Rick, who asked, I am a 79-year-old male, recently diagnosed diabetic, A1C 7.8. My doc put me on metformin, 500 milligrams twice daily. My blood glucose is around 200 upon waking, 140 or lower in the afternoon. Guess I don't understand what all that means. Well, Rick, thank you for your question. And first, let me say, it's great that you're monitoring your blood sugar closely because it is an important step in managing diabetes. And it's also important that you're asking these questions, as it can be really overwhelming when you're recently diagnosed. And what does any of these numbers actually mean? So let's break this down to help you understand what might be happening. So your blood sugar in the morning, known as fasting blood sugar, is influenced by several factors. And one common reason it's higher in the morning is something called the dawn phenomenon. And this is where your liver releases glucose into your bloodstream early in the morning to give your body energy to start the day. And it's stimulated by a range of hormones in our body. This is a natural process for all of us. But in people with diabetes, this process can cause fasting blood sugar to be elevated because the body doesn't regulate glucose effectively. Now, in contrast, your blood sugar in the afternoon is lower because of the combined effects of your meals, your activity levels, and the action of metformin, which helps improve your body's insulin sensitivity and reduces glucose production in the liver. So we covered the topic of morning levels in detail in episode 38, so I'm not going to go into that here, but please go back and listen to that, as it also includes lots of strategies to help lower morning levels. And also listen to episode 11 on normal blood sugar levels, as this will help you understand more about what's going on. So at the moment, your A1C levels are a bit high at 7.8. Over time, you want to work on getting these down to 7% first, and then work toward a level under 6%, as we know this is associated with the least risk for developing complications long term. So if you listen to episode 11, you will understand blood sugar and A1C and how they're related, so you can focus on getting these levels lower. Overall, you're off to a strong start here, Rick, and it's normal to have questions as you adjust to this diagnosis, so keep asking questions and taking steps to track your numbers, because it will all become clearer as you go. Well, that brings us to the end of today's Q&A. A big thank you to Amanat, Katie, Kathleen, Ben, and Rick for your questions. If you found today's episode helpful, or any of our episodes in fact, I'd love for you to leave a review and share your feedback. It truly helps others discover this podcast. So head to type2diabetestalk.com/review. And of course, don't forget to send in your questions for our next Q&A episode at type2diabetestalk.com/message. Until next time, take it one step at a time to be proactive with your health. Dr. Jeddah, over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to Type 2 Diabetes Talk. Please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. And for episode replays, episode notes, and more, visit type2diabetestalk.com. New episodes are available Tuesdays, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, or your time zone equivalent. Thanks again. We're truly grateful to be a part of your life and help make a real difference.